I came across this post from Homeland Security. It was posted yesterday at around 3:30 p.m. CNN is a disgraceful propaganda arm for radical sanctuary city politicians. These headlines directly contribute to the 1,000% increase in assaults against our brave ICE-Gov law enforcement. And this is the headline. A volunteer firefighter, a beloved pastor, a prominent journalist. These are the community pillars being detained by ICE. Oh no, these poor people. Here are the facts on these illegal aliens. So I found the article, which they didn't link the article, and I know why, because here it is from CNN.com. It's a 6-minute read. Same exact headline. So I'm going to scroll down and start reading it. Oh no, what the fuck? They paywalled it. Of course they did, because CNN is desperate for money. So that would be why Homeland Security didn't link it, because you have to pay $4 a month. $4 just to read this bullshit. But that's okay, because I found the individual articles. I found them one by one. And I also found the videos that CNN put out that is in direct relation to each one of these instances. So this first one, Border Patrol arrests 2 crew members helping battle Washington's biggest wildfire for being in the country illegally. So Homeland Security, they actually have the facts below on each of these. So they actually show you what's really up with these people. And of course, CNN's not going to tell you what's really going on with them. They're going to paint them as these innocent people who've done nothing wrong, and they're being harassed and being treated like subhumans by ICE and by federal agents. But we'll find out what CNN is saying about them, and then we'll see what Homeland Security is talking about them. So this is the article. I'll just read a little bit of it because I have the video clip which explains the whole thing in and of itself. But Border Patrol agents on Wednesday arrested 2 crew workers helping to contain Washington state's biggest wildfire, which is about 9,000 acres in Olympic National Forest right now, saying that they were in the United States illegally. Lawyers for one of the men dispute that characterization, alleging he was already on track for legal status. The Bureau of Land Management and the U.S. Forest Service had requested support from a local Border Patrol station as the agencies terminated work contracts with 2 firms on the Olympic Peninsula, according to a news release from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Without offering details, the agency said the contracts were ended following the conclusion of a criminal investigation by the Bureau of Land Management. Quote, several discrepancies were identified and 2 individuals were found to be present in the United States illegally, one with the previous order of removal, the Department of Homeland Security said in a statement Thursday. So one of these 2 men, probably the one who's already gotten an order of removal, is probably the one that CNN is talking about. The 2 contracted workers arrested were there in a support role, cutting logs into firewood, according to a senior DHS official. Okay, so let's go over here and let's play the video.
Border Patrol agents arrested 2 firefighters as they were battling Washington state's largest
wildfire.
Oh no,
firefighters!
They were arrested for allegedly being in the U.S. illegally.
Well, that would be a crime now, wouldn't it, CNN?
Man, look at that. Post it up.
What the video does show is Border Patrol approaching a group of firefighters, going through, you see their IDs. 2 of those were apprehended, understanding that they are here illegally. Certainly still a lot of questions as to why these firefighters were apprehended while they were
because they were in the country illegally, duh.
This wildfire, which has torched over 9,000 acres and caused devastation and is still not contained. Now, in a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said the following, quote, the Border Patrol operation is not interfering with firefighting activity, and Bear Gulch firefighters continue to make progress on the
I'm sure
fire.
they're not messing with them.
We still don't know all the details of these 2 firefighters. The fact that Border Patrol was there conducting these operations is indicative of the way in which the administration is broadening their enforcement actions across the country. Now, this has prompted questions by Washington lawmakers as well as the governor.
Which, by the way, did you notice that they said that these illegal immigrants were cutting firewood? So they were chopping trees down and just cutting up wood. Is that something? Is that in the firefighters' job duties? Is that what firefighters do? Even the ones who fight wildfires? I mean, like for real, like actual licensed firefighters, do they also cut wood and chop down trees, or is that more of the timber industry who does that? I mean, I'm asking for a friend, I guess.
Statement, quote, I have asked my team to reach out to federal agencies for more information to determine where these 2 individuals are and
why
to question
they're being
why
deported.
The Trump administration's cruel immigration policies
so cruel.
now extend to individuals fighting forest fires.
Oh, they're so cruel because they've been apprehended for being in the country illegally for God knows how long. And that's just so cruel. That's so bad. All right, so what's up with this individual? So Milton Giovanni Guaramargaria Loja is a criminal illegal alien from Ecuador. His criminal history includes not one, not two, but 3 DWIs. He's been arrested for DWI 3 fucking times. The serial drunk driver is a public safety threat to innocent Americans. So that's the first one. One of those 2 firefighters. That's, according to Homeland Security, that's who he was. So we'll just move on to the next one here. And that'll be the journalist. He live streamed his arrest by ICE during protest. Salvadorian journalist Mario Guevara live streamed his arrest by ICE agents during a No Kings protest near Atlanta and is still being held on an immigration detainer. Guevara's attorney, Giovanni Diaz, said Guevara has a permit, a quote-unquote permit to work in the United States, but he does not have a green card. Well, that probably invalidates your permit if you don't have a green card. You don't have a green card, you're not legally allowed to be here. You probably don't have a valid work permit. Of course, I'm sure it was issued in a sanctuary city. I mean, come on. In a press conference, Diaz declined to specify under which immigration status or program Guevara is protected. So here's the video of that.
Movernos un poco porque las autoridades vienen avanzando hacia este lado. Y pues
Salvadoran journalist Mario Guevara live streamed the moment he was arrested while covering a No Kings protest in Georgia.
la policía está avanzando de manera rápida.
Guevara was walking away after police ordered protesters to disperse. Despite identifying himself as press, he was taken into custody, according to one of his attorneys.
Well, he's a member of the press, but why does this say Facebook? Why is he just streaming to his Facebook? Shouldn't he be representing the press agency or the news entity that he's working for? Or maybe he's freelance. Maybe that's it. I don't know. Just curious.
Officer, a member of the media, officer.
His attorneys had arranged for him to be released on bail Monday, but Guevara remains in custody after U.S. federal immigration
gonna get his ass
authorities
deported.
requested an immigration detainer, according to his attorney. Immigration and Customs Enforcement can issue immigration detainer requests that ask agencies, including jails, to hold individuals up to 48 additional hours to allow ICE to take them into custody. However, agencies aren't required to comply.
Well, I mean, local agencies don't. The sanctuary cities, they don't hold on to him. They just release him as soon as humanly possible. If they arrest an illegal immigrant, they put him in front of a judge, and the judge just cuts him loose. Because ICE will call them and ask them to hold on to him, but they won't answer ICE's call. Instead, they'll just release them out into the street, and then ICE has to go out into the public and try to find them. And that's why these arrests that are being conducted by ICE, arresting these criminal illegal immigrants, are happening out in the street and not inside the jailhouse, because the sanctuary cities are not complying with ICE, and they haven't been for what, a decade now? It's been forever. So, and they know what they're doing. They want them to go out in public and arrest them, so the public will have this big uproar and start assaulting ICE. And I don't know what their end game is. Like, what, ICE is just gonna just forget about going into these cities from now on? I mean, I'm sure that Democrats have that thought process, which is kind of hilarious.
Okay. Let me finish. Can you take my phone, please? It's for my work. Don't leave there, please. Thank you, officer. Thank you.
According to records from DeKalb County Jail, where Guevara
He's
remains
being polite,
detained,
at least.
he was charged with improperly entering a pedestrian roadway, obstruction
That would be
of law
jaywalking.
enforcement officers, and unlawful assembly.
But I didn't anything wrong. You're reporting, officer.
Yeah, you were
reporting,
jaywalking,
officer.
dude. You got
His
deported for
attorney says
jaywalking,
he's
dumbass.
confident the criminal charges will eventually be dismissed.
I somehow doubt
no
that.
es residente permanente todavía, y esa es la realidad. No quiero hablar mucho de su situación migratoria, pero él tiene permiso de pertenecer aquí en los Estados Unidos, tiene permiso de trabajar acá.
So where's his green
El
card
caso
then,
de
buddy?
La corte se cerró administrativamente unos años atrás, antes que yo me involucré en el caso. Y él no ha cometido ningún delito.
CNN has reached out to ICE and DeKalb County authorities.
Yeah, but if he did have permission, dude, wouldn't Homeland Security have received that information, and then they wouldn't have any legal ability to hold him? So let's see what Homeland Security said about him. And accusations that Mario Guevara was arrested by ICE because he is a journalist are completely false. Mario Guevara was arrested by DeKalb County, Georgia police for willful obstruction after he refused to comply with the local police orders to move out of the middle of the street. Following his arrest by local authorities, ICE placed a detainer on him. Following his release, he was turned over to ICE custody and has been placed in removal proceedings. This El Salvador national is in ICE custody because he entered the country illegally in 2004, 21 years ago. He's been here illegally since 2004. Well, yeah, actually, that's exactly what they say. I was about to say, well, maybe he came in with a green card or something and then it just expired, or maybe expired visa or something. But no, according to the Department of Homeland Security, he entered the country illegally 21 years ago. So that's why he's getting deported, CNN. That's why that's happening. So we're going to go on to the next one, the pastor. And let's see about this one. Friend of pastor arrested by ICE details subhuman conditions of his detainment. 54-year-old Maryland pastor Daniel Fuentes Espinal, who fled Honduras 24 years ago to escape poverty and violence, is waiting to hear when he will face an immigration judge after his arrest this week by Immigration and Customs Enforcement for overstaying his visa in 2001, according to his family. So let's check out that video.
In Maryland, a community is shaken after their longtime pastor was detained by ICE. Daniel Fuentes Espinal left Honduras in 2001 to escape poverty and violence. Well, now he's facing deportation for overstaying the visa he received 24 years ago.
The conditions under which he was detained.
Well, first off, you can't come into the United States to seek asylum because of poverty. That's not how that works. You're supposed to be coming from a war-torn country. And the way the laws work in the United States is that if you are fleeing a country because your family, or like if your family's facing direct violence, or if it's religious persecution or something like that, that the United States would recognize, you have to go to the nearest non-war-torn country from where you reside. In this case, it would be Mexico. Well, where did it say? Honduras? I don't know. Like whichever country that borders his country, that's the country he has to go seek asylum. And if his religion is being religiously persecuted there, or culturally persecuted, or whatever, if it's too violent for him to be in the neighboring country, then he goes to the next neighboring country, and so on and so forth, until he can apply for asylum in one of those countries that would be a quote-unquote safe haven for him and or his family. But they're not doing that. They're skipping all these countries and they're going directly to the United States, and that's not the way you're supposed to do it.
Detained in Baltimore were not just substandard; they were really subhuman. He was sleeping on a bench, couldn't brush.
Oh
his
yeah,
teeth,
jail.
And I don't.
Yeah, dude, sleeping on a bench. Yeah, that like a slab of concrete. Yeah, welcome to jail. That's what they do in jail.
Graphic, but he only had
brush his teeth. Did he have money from
bucket
commissary
to use the bathroom?
Were you there, sir?
This is a man who has.
Do you have proof of any of this?
24 years in the United States.
Illegally.
Has never been charged with a crime.
Yeah, he was. He entered the country illegally, asshole.
Model leader of our community. And they
well,
are treating
I think
him
we'll be the
like
judge of that.
Something less than human. It is heartbreaking to his family. It is devastating to a community who depends upon him so much, not only for spiritual sustenance, but also
well, dude, he had 24 years to get his shit together. How come he didn't, I don't know, either apply for asylum or apply for a visa, apply for a work visa, a green card? I'm sure there's plenty of different ways that he could have straightened his ass up and had a chance to be in this country legally at this point. I mean, dude, he had over 2 decades. I mean, come on.
Who provides food, shelter, and
well, that's what you say.
Those who are the most vulnerable.
Tell me, when did his family?
I bet he collects a lot of tithings too.
He'd been detained, because I also read that initially they didn't know where he was.
They were ready to file a missing persons report, Victor, and it wasn't
so,
until he called them several
then they would say he's in ICE
after
custody.
His detainment from a cell phone in Salisbury that they knew that he had been picked up and arrested by ICE. So they didn't know anything. No one bothered to call the family to let them know where he was and that he was okay.
Well, you know, law enforcement doesn't have any obligation to contact anybody's family if somebody's been arrested, whether if it's for being an illegal immigrant or otherwise. If you're arrested for whatever, for a DUI or shoplifting or whatever, they don't have any obligation to reach out to your family. And also the whole Hollywood thing, I get a phone call, that's bullshit also. They're under no obligation to give you a phone call if you've been arrested. I mean, it's just not how it works.
Let's just call this for what it was. It was a government-sponsored kidnapping.
But they're usually nice enough to do exactly that. All right, are they not going to read it? All right. Daniel Omar Fuentes Espinal is an illegal alien from Honduras who was arrested by ICE on July 21st in Easton, Maryland. Fuentes entered the United States on a 6-month visa and never left in 24 years. It is a federal crime to overstay the authorized period of time granted under a visitor's visa. Now, notice how they put this on the screen, but they only put it on the screen for like 3 seconds, so you only have a chance to get to like, what, the third line down before the video ends. So, but hey, I'll give them credit. At least they posted that on there. At least that was mentioned on the video. So this is what Homeland Security says about this individual. ICE officers arrested Daniel Omar Fuentes Espinal, an illegal alien from Honduras, during a targeted vehicle stop in Easton, Maryland. They approached Fuentes and clearly identified themselves. During questioning, he admitted to being in the country illegally. He overstayed his visa by more than 20 years. All right, so that's that. And that's basically all I got. President Trump and Secretary Noem are committed to restoring the rule of law and common sense to our immigration system and will continue to fight for the arrest, detention, and removal of aliens who have no right to be in this country.